Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Angela, happily playing on a swing set while her mother, Mary, sat nearby. Angela kept calling out to her mother, but Mary seemed lost in her own thoughts. Ignoring her daughter, Mary remained distant. Angela, undeterred, eventually hopped off the swing to chase after a bunny. Suddenly, a car swerved towards Angela, striking her severely. Mary, snapped out of her reverie, dashed towards the road, followed closely by Angela's father, Grigor. Their hearts sank as they realized their beloved daughter was no more. Mary collapsed to the ground, overcome with grief. Years passed, and a group of friends embarked on a road trip in their RV. Amidst chatter and laughter, the RV suddenly broke down, forcing them to stop at the nearest gas station. Corey started refueling while Kyle went to the restroom to take his medication. Just then, Spencer, Kyle's brother, playfully banged on the door, causing Kyle to accidentally drop his meds. Meanwhile, Megan, Kyle's girlfriend, rummaged through shelves for a pregnancy test, keeping it a secret from Kyle and the others. Startled by Spencer's prank, they all returned to the RV. Megan sat up front with Kyle as he restarted the engine. However, their journey hit a snag when they encountered a road diversion, dampening their spirits. Frustrated and anxious, Kyle, who had not taken his medication, refused to slow down despite their pleas. The RV spun out of control, flipping over. Disoriented but unharmed, they exited the vehicle in search of help. Corey set off to find assistance, and Spencer accompanied her. Eventually, Spencer returned with news of a nearby place to stay, the same motel from the beginning. As they explored the deserted motel, it felt eerie and unsettling. Megan stumbled upon a messy room, its bedsheet in disarray and belongings scattered around, adding to the creepy atmosphere. Rachel was hesitant to stay in the room, but Spencer persuaded her to join him. The dim light inside the room strained their eyes. Rachel recalled that her father kept flashlights in the RV. Meanwhile, Kyle and Corey went to the RV garage to gather essentials. Upon opening a box, Kyle discovered a gun, which he discreetly hid in his pants. Meanwhile, Megan decided to take the pregnancy test, which revealed a positive result. Distraught, she left the room in tears. Rachel followed her, and they stood outside, trying to calm down. Unnoticed by them, one of the swings continued to move on its own while the other remained still. Rachel promised to keep Megan's secret, but Megan was inconsolable. Rachel turned towards the swing and saw a little girl swinging. Startled, she approached the road where the girl was headed. Rachel, surprised to see such a young girl out at that hour, tried to coax her to come back. However, her hand passed through the girl as if she were made of air. Suddenly, the girl turned around, revealing a wounded face, causing Rachel to scream in terror. At that moment, headlights from an oncoming car blinded Rachel as it collided with her. Inside, everyone heard the screech of tires and Rachel's scream. Rushing outside, they found Rachel lying on the road, covered in blood, sporting the same bruises as the little girl. As they approached the car, they found the driver severely injured but alive. Beside Rachel's body, Megan discovered a little girl's shoe, which startled her. Without a word, they brought the injured man inside the room. Corey ventured outside to explore further and stumbled upon what seemed to be a reception area with a register and a bell. Ringing the bell, she continued her exploration. Suddenly, she saw a little girl dart past her. Shocked, she lost her balance and fell. When she shone her flashlight again, the girl was gone. Still exploring, the floor beneath Corey cracked open, and she fell into the cellar. As Corey fell into the cellar, a wooden splinter pierced her leg, causing intense pain. She managed to pull it out forcefully, but remained in agony. Realizing she had dropped her flashlight, Corey looked around and saw that she was in a child's room filled with toys. Suddenly, the flashlight went out, and she heard the bell ring. Meanwhile, the others were unaware of Corey's situation. Kyle, without his calming medication, was panicking. Megan tried to calm him, but he reacted by slapping her, causing her to leave the room. Kyle, worried about Corey, went to search for her and found her under the floor, injured. He tried to reassure her, but realized he couldn't lift her alone. Corey, frightened and unwilling to be left alone, was hesitant. Kyle gave her a flashlight and left to find something to help pull her up. While searching, he found a rope and noticed medicine nearby. As he prepared a syringe, Corey kept calling him, but he was distracted. Suddenly, Corey saw a toy horse move, which terrified her. She entered a nearby room and shut the door behind her, discovering it was a bathroom. Inside the bathroom, Corey found a message saying goodbye on the mirror. Meanwhile, Kyle injected the syringe, feeling euphoric but unsure if what he was seeing was real. He saw a man leaving something on the printer. In the bathroom, water started gushing from the tap. Corey, terrified, turned it off and sat on the floor. Suddenly, the light turned on, revealing a woman in the bathtub cutting herself. Corey, petrified, moved to the corner as a man entered the bathroom. He quickly lifted the woman from the bathtub and carried her outside. She followed them as he entered the room next to hers. Meanwhile, Corey hit the toy horse, watching the couple closely. She called out to Kyle, but he was upstairs, struggling to distinguish reality from illusion. The man and woman noticed Corey climbing up, and as she tried to reach the top using a chair, she was startled to see the same little girl standing before her. Startled, Corey lost her balance and fell, fatally hitting her head against the chair. Sadly, she passed away. Meanwhile, Spencer and Megan were in the next room. Spencer tried to calm Megan, who was crying. He attempted to comfort her, but Megan stepped back, furious. Embarrassed, Spencer left the room and went to the reception area to look for Kyle and Corey. He noticed a big hole in the floor and shone his light into it, but couldn't see anything. He then checked the room beside him. In the bathtub, Kyle sat with his gun ready to shoot any intruder. When Spencer entered, Kyle mistook him for an intruder and shot him. Megan, hearing the gunshot, rushed outside to investigate. Not finding anything, she turned around to see Matthew, the wounded man, standing behind her. He explained that he didn't remember hitting anyone, and that his head hurt. Megan informed him that her friend was dead. Matthew suddenly remembered something, and told Megan that he had grown up in the area. The previous owner had lost their daughter in a car accident, and shortly after, they both died brutally. Megan showed him the shoe she had found near Rachel's body and asked for more information. Matthew shared that a man named Grigor Horak had bought the place. He explained that people believed the spirits of the deceased still lingered there. He revealed that the little girl had the same car accident spot as Rachel. The girl's name was Angela, and her passing deeply affected her mother. A few days after Angela's funeral, her mother went to the basement, drew a bath, and attempted to harm herself. But her husband intervened just in time. Matthew, overwhelmed by the story, collapsed to the ground and fainted. Fortunately, Kyle's gunshot missed Spencer, and he remained unharmed. Kyle explained to Spencer that he had seen a man using the printer, but Spencer was skeptical. When asked about Corey, Kyle informed him that she was in the basement. Spencer noticed a staircase under the floor and left the reception area to access the basement from another route. Finding the basement door locked, Kyle shot the lock and broke it open. They descended the stairs and began calling out for Corey. Spencer found a door and entered, but it closed behind him, trapping him inside. He called out to Kyle for help, but before Kyle could react, he noticed medicine dropping down the stairs. Kyle, distracted, picked up the medicine and put it in his pocket, forgetting about his brother. As Kyle explored the basement, he saw the man again, this time forcing a woman to eat while she begged to be released. Ignoring her pleas, the man injected her with a syringe, causing her to fall asleep. Kyle, hiding nearby, witnessed the scene unfold. He then stole a box of medicine and followed a girl upstairs. Meanwhile, Spencer was still trapped, trying to escape. Suddenly, the door opened by itself, and he exited the room, finding the table where the woman had been tied empty. Kyle, following the girl upstairs, found Megan sitting beside Matthew. Kyle muttered incoherently and entered the restroom. Looking in the mirror, he saw the little girl from before sitting in the bathtub. Terrified, he collapsed to the ground, craving more of the drug. He filled the syringe and injected himself, while Spencer, still confused, remained trapped in the basement. He continued to examine his surroundings, but upon hearing Grigor's name, he quickly hid behind a table. The room lit up, revealing the woman tied to the table. Grigor, clearly intoxicated, refilled the syringe and injected her leg again. Spencer, eager to save the woman, tried to leave but felt someone hold him back. Despite finding no one behind him, he ran upstairs to inform Megan and Matthew about the deceased body in the cellar. Upon peeking outside, Matthew saw the deceased girl standing near the gate. They went to the cellar and found Corey's lifeless body. Returning upstairs, they discovered Kyle's body, cold and still. Spencer dragged Kyle's body out of the restroom. Megan insisted they leave, but before they could, the door locked itself, trapping them inside. Things took a turn when Spencer confessed to sleeping with Megan. Megan, upset, tried to push him away, revealing she was pregnant. As they argued, Megan slapped Spencer. Meanwhile, the door to the room opened, revealing the little girl entering the reception area. Megan followed her, and the door closed behind her. She cautiously entered the room and asked the girl to show her the way. As Megan crossed the door, it closed, and several doors opened before her. She saw Angela standing at the end of the aisle and asked her about the tragedy. Angela floated in midair, then returned to the ground, walking away as Megan followed. Meanwhile, Spencer found a table near him with the name Hack on it. As he tried to leave, Matthew knocked him unconscious. Megan followed Angela, who pointed at a table with a leash. Suddenly, she saw Mary, Angela's mother, on the table with Grigor approaching. Mary, in labor, expressed happiness for another chance. She gave birth to a boy, and they both rejoiced. In a sudden turn of events, the woman stabs the man in the throat with the injection, causing him to collapse. The baby is left beside him on the floor. Unable to get off the table, the woman continues to cry and points at her baby. Unable to watch any longer, Megan turns around and bumps into Mafia. She informs him about the mother and baby's fate. Mafia tries to calm her, suggesting she shouldn't have known all this. Megan, alarmed, asks how he knows about her condition. He admits to eavesdropping, as she had only shared it with Rachel and Spencer. Pushing him away, Megan runs toward the cellar stairs, but finds it locked. Mafia asks her to come down, promising not to fight her. However, she jumps over him, causing him to fall. She grabs a ladder and heads to where the floorboard has broken. Matthew tries to stop her, but she hits him hard with the ladder, making him collapse. Climbing the ladder, she pulls it up so Matthew can't follow. Megan then runs away from the motel to Matthew's car, attempting to start the engine without success. She finds a covered item in the trunk, revealing a board that reads, "Road closed." She realizes Matthew had placed the fake board on the road to divert them to the motel. Frantic, she hides behind a truck, but hears footsteps behind her. When she turns around, she sees Matthew, who punches her, causing her to pass out. Upon waking up, she finds herself tied to the table, with Matthew standing over her. He confesses to killing her friends. He explains that Mary had died from blood loss, but something strange had happened after her death. He injects Megan, and she has a vision of the table with Mary lying lifeless and Grigor on the floor, while Angela picks up the crying baby. Megan is surprised to learn that she saved the baby. Matthew confesses that he was that baby, left by Angela at someone's door, and later adopted by strangers. When he tried to find his biological parents, no one had any information. Megan realizes that Matthew can also see Angela. He suggests Angela meet Megan as her new mother. Megan realizes she's not the first, as Matthew has done this before. As Matthew tries to inject her, Spencer intervenes, armed with a gun. They struggle, and the gun goes off, but no one is injured. Matthew tries to shoot, but the gun is empty. They resort to fighting, and Spencer ends up unconscious. Megan, unable to bear Matthew's attacks, stabs him in the heart with a shears. Angela sits beside Matthew as Megan explains her actions. When Spencer wakes up, he finds himself tied next to Angela's ghost. He pleads with Megan, apologizing, but she leaves him in the cellar. Megan, realizing she has lost her baby, walks onto the road, allowing a car to hit her. Spencer is left as the only survivor.